It's Intelligent Psycho back here. So, the film Song Sung Blue, directed by Craig Brewer, producers Craig Brewer, John Davis, and John Fox. It stars Hugh Jackman, Kate Hudson, Ella Anderson, King Princess, Jim Belushi. Um, Two couples formed together a Neil Diamond tribute band, and proving to following their is saying it is never too late to follow your dreams and accomplish your goals. So what happens in this film was, of course, Mike Sedina, played by Hugh Jackman, is doing tributing to, of course, one of his favorite artists, Neil Diamond. Kate Hudson, pretty much like what he does is it plays Claire Stagel. She's one of the small. She's a small time singer, a small town singer, and playing in these local clubs, singing in these local clubs. And Hugh Jackman is actually for a doing for a lot of parodies of a lot of artists and bands. Mainly, they formed together later on around in life. They end up getting married and formed a couple, and they call themselves Lightning and Thunder. And they did a lot of tributing to one of the all time greatest bands in Pearl Jam, and they did a lot of covers of their songs and their music. But the story pretty much revolves in Hugh Jackman. He wants to follow his dreams and follow his career. He was a recovering alcoholic who, as you saw in the film, he was a recovering alcoholic. He had took a rehabilitation program to get over his drinking problem. And Kay Hudson is, of course, a starving, as Claire. She is a starving younger artist who's trying to make her way and rise her way into fame and rise her way onto the top. You know, she did a lot of Patsy Cline music as well, but didn't talk about that. Yeah. And the thing about this film that really was so interesting, that why I wanted to see it, is number one, I really enjoyed the trailer. I thought the trailer and I thought the overall premise I thought was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty interesting. Yeah. Kind of like a couple who's trying to make their way and rise to fame, trying to do things and try to accomplish their dreams and goals. That's one of the best couples to form together a band and to come up with their own moniker and shtick. I thought that was pretty interesting and pretty cool because I didn't know nothing about Mike and Claire Sardina, and eventually as they got married. Um, and Mike has a daughter named Angie, who's pretty much going to school and everything. Claire has two kids. One played by Ella Anderson named Rachel, and then the other child, he just wanted to see his family become as successful as they can be, and really is loving his mother. Wanted to really accomplish her goals, and really, I just think that this film is very compelling, very interesting, and it very is heartfelt because it tugs on the heartstrings. I seen this way later in the year, and how I knew about this was at a film festival, and when I saw the trailer from there at a film festival, and then later on, when I got back into the city, I was seeing this movie later on a couple days ago in the theaters, and I really enjoyed it. I really felt a lot of heartfelt moments from both Mike and Claire. I really felt like they had really good chemistry, really solid chemistry. I also liked the fact that both were as a duet couple, Lightning and Thunder. They was always on point as far as the singing. I thought their vocal range, I thought their vocal range and how they was really blowing and really putting it out and really sung it out, really sung their hearts out. I really thought it was really interesting and compelling. I also really enjoy their back and forth. The only thing that I would say is it kind of felt like to me is certain elements they did so much of the similar repetitious and repetitive songs that Neil Diamond was very popular of. You know, like the song "Sung Blue," for example, and then "Sweet Carolina." I wish they could have varied more in the music. I wish they could have varied more from Neil Diamond instead of just doing the same repetitious, repetitive, more of his most popular records. I really think they could have deviated and went a little bit more in depth on the records. But for the sake of the movie being a little bit over 2 hours long, I like they just wanted to tell more about Mike and Claire Sardina's both of their lives and how much of what happened to them. But what happened with Mike was he had, like I said, he was a recovering alcoholic who had had a lot of drinking problems at a young age, and then Claire, because she had a bad accident, which she ended up taking out her right leg. She ended up having to walk with a cane, and she ended up having to walk and getting carried in a wheelchair to really to get around the places at times. But later on, as we get to the film, as she fully made a recovery, she took a lot of therapy, and she ended up recovering and getting back to and getting her life back on track. She started feeling a lot of like hallucinations. She started oversleeping. Like she ended up dreaming about had bad visions and bad nightmares at certain points, things that could have happened. And and then of course with Mike, he's trying to calm her down. Rachel and the rest of her kids was trying to calm her down because she was getting hysterical. I like a lot about this film is you get to see the dark past of both Mike and Claire, but also you get the chance to see them living out their dreams and living out their big goals in mind, as far as becoming a big power couple and singing duet couple in their cessation. So I like the fact it was telling a bit of the light and the dark path of what they were going through, their overall struggles and overall overcoming and shortcomings and certain downfalls. So I really do like that about this film. So I would say the biggest pros to me was the chemistry between Hugh Jackman, Kate Hudson, Mike, and Claire. The second biggest pro is the overall music, and the third biggest pro I would say is the overall cinematography and the overall showcasing of the other cast. I thought they had a really big part. And the two biggest negatives I would say is, number one, I think the lack of imaginary and variations in the music from Neil Diamond. I thought that was a big negative, I would say, for me. That didn't really. I wish they could have ventured a little bit more from a little bit off of. And then I would say the second thing I would say is, I do think the ending kind of felt a little bit predictable. The second half felt a little bit predictable, but I kind of would not give it so much flack because it was very heartfelt. It did have a certain scene that I'm not gonna spoil that does happen to one of the main characters and Mike. That it's like, wow, it was really touching. It was very heartfelt. But yeah, seeing this a couple of days ago, it really, really catapulted. It really hit me to the core. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Song Sung Blue. Really enjoyed this film. Definitely recommend it to fans who like musicals, who like attributing to Patsy Cline and Neil Diamond. You'll definitely enjoy this, and also attributing to Pearl Jam as well. You'll like this one. I give it 3.5 out of 4 stars. Definitely check this one out. And yeah, you'll definitely have some enjoyment from it. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I am out. Peace.